All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel again. Thank y'all so much for coming over now. If you guys are new to this channel, I'm going to just say this. Whenever a celebrity or somebody pass away, I always think that something more is something more than what they're really telling us. And this right here, Aaliyah, rest in peace. You know, she's been gone for a long time. But that's one of those like deaths that just didn't feel right. It was a lot of people saying this and that, like the plane being so small, they had too much weight on the plane. Some people were saying she was unconscious when she got, it was a lot of stuff. But this video here says Static Major tried to expose Aaliyah's killers, his last diary. I don't even know who Static Major is, but when they say try to expose, and next thing you know, a person comes up missing or something like that, we ain't gonna waste no more time. Let's jump right into it.
I'm gonna tell you the first thing I tell motherfuckers is you don't even really want to get in this business for real. This is a business. It's like, you know what I'm saying, it's give or take. It's like a whole lot of times it don't even got nothing to do with your talent.
What you're hearing is what I'm hearing. I know the sound quality sounds weird. I think they maybe adjusted this, or maybe he wasn't mic'd up, but yeah.
Genuine, like she was just like that, man. Like she didn't deserve that, man. That wasn't for her. That wasn't for her. That, man, I ain't no funeral type of guy. I went to the funeral on my own.
Aaliyah, what they did with her is the same thing that Quaker Mutua talks about in his thing, where he talks about they could get the energy of a young girl and put them in the bed with an old man, they can draw her energy. Aaliyah, what they did with Aaliyah is although they sacrificed it, they did the movie Akasha.
Before Static Major died, there were signs that he knew more about Aaliyah's death than he ever said out loud. Static and Aaliyah were close, and they both died young, unexpectedly, and under very sketchy circumstances. Aaliyah's plane crash was ruled an accident, and Static's death was blamed on a sudden medical complication. But when you look at the timing, the people involved, and the strange silence that followed both
these medical complications with these people that be so young. I know it exists. I know it does. But come on, man. My goodness.
It's hard not to wonder if there's more to the story. See, Static wasn't just Aaliyah's songwriter. He helped shape her entire sound, that futuristic R&B that made her a legend. He was in the room when her biggest hits were made, and he was close enough to see what was happening behind the scenes. And after Aaliyah died, Static didn't move on like everyone else. He got quieter, more careful. And then he started dropping hints about the industry and how dangerous it can be for people who are too pure for that world.
What do you want your legacy to be? I mean, I know you're 22, it's pretty young, but like if you could be like, hey, this is what I want to be my mark as.
I don't know, right now it's hard to say what I want my legacy to be, what I want people to say when I'm long gone. And that's how I was trained, and I want people to look at me as a full-on entertainer and a good person. So, we'll talk a few years down the line and we'll see where my head is at then. But
now here's where it gets wild. There are rumors that Static was keeping a diary during that time where he wrote down everything he couldn't say publicly. Names, events, things he saw, things he heard, and all that dark stuff that happens in the music business behind closed doors. Static's diary has never been released, and some people claim it went missing after he died, but some parts of it leaked online, and just based on what he wrote there, you can tell he was sitting on something heavy. But then all of a sudden, he dies too, right when he's on the verge of a solo comeback.
Louisville R&B star Stephen Garrett was laid to rest today. Known in the music industry as Static, Garrett died Monday from complications from a medical procedure.
So what was Static trying to say? Did he know the real truth about Aaliyah's passing? And did someone make sure we'd never hear it? Let's get into it.
She was unconscious. She didn't choose to get on that plane.
I remember her saying
there
that.
Were phone calls made. There are witnesses who signed NDAs. Why would you need to sign a non-disclosure agreement about a plane crash?
So first, let's be clear on who Static Major actually.
Angie Stone. They were saying NDAs were being signed and all that stuff. With the car accident she got into, or hit by the, look, man.
Was because too many people sleep on his name like he was just another background writer. He wasn't. Static, born Stephen Garrett, was one of the most influential voices behind late 90s and early 2000s R&B. He was part of the group Playa, but his real impact came behind the scenes. He had that rare gift of not just writing catchy hooks, but shaping entire sounds. He had an ear for what was next, not just what was hot, but what was coming.
I mean, a whole lot of y'all probably don't know, but you know what I'm saying? I'm responsible for like majority of the hits that came out, the big ones, your favorite ones, the last decade. I did Pony.
Oh.
I did Dirty South. Can y'all really feel me? East Coast feel me.
I thought that
I
was
did Rock the
Timberland.
Boat. I did It's So Contagious. Returns my pages. My first time working with Dr. Dre. What's up, Doc? Me and Doc put that down, and Doc moved so fast. We did the song. By the time I got back in Louisville, I heard the on the radio. That's how fast it moves when you do a monster joint like that. I did Same OG. I did So Anxious, which a whole lot of babies was made that year. You know what I'm saying? Courtesy of me. Y'all like to get back to the population. I wrote. I wrote, Shorty, say what's your price, just to back it up.
Hey.
You know, my ice. My first time working with Nas, you know what I'm saying? And once again, it was magic, you know what I'm saying? What else I did? Don't change the game for these hoes. We play the game like we supposed. Yeah, it was me on that hook too. And them niggas didn't even call me for the video, but it's all good.
Now, as for Static's connection to Aaliyah, she wasn't just someone he worked with. She was one of the few people in the industry he was genuinely close to. He co-wrote some of her biggest hits, including Are You That Somebody, Try Again, We Need a Resolution, and More Than a Woman. Aaliyah's cool vocal style matched Static's lyrics perfectly, and together, they created something way ahead of its time. And that connection didn't end with music. People who were around them have said that Static and Aaliyah had a deep mutual respect. There were even rumors back in the day that Aaliyah and Static were more than friends at one point. According to Static's mother, Static and Aaliyah actually dated briefly in 1998 before deciding that they were better off as friends. Static's mom told The Source they were definitely an item. Aaliyah was crazy about him. He brought Aaliyah to my wedding. That was a big deal because her parents didn't let her go places. So when Aaliyah tragically passed in August 2001, it wasn't just a professional loss for Static. It hit personally. But here's the part that gets overlooked. Static didn't cash in on Aaliyah's name. He didn't ride the wave like so many others did. Instead, he started working more quietly, almost like he was being careful and trying to protect something. That's what makes what happened next so suspicious. After Aaliyah's death, something shifted in Static. He didn't disappear, but he wasn't in the spotlight either. He kept writing for other artists, huge names like Genuine, Truth Hurts, Brandy, and eventually Lil Wayne. In case you were wondering, that's Static's voice on the hook of Lollipop, one of Wayne's biggest hits.
What was it like working with Static? Now, Static a beast. But you know, there was a whole group. Static was a part of a group, and they were signed to Cash Money. He just was the leader of the group. Yeah. And so that they had a little R&B group, and he was the leader of that group. So he was like, he would never, you know.
Boy, Lil Wayne, somebody did a parody. I forgot who it was. They did a parody on Lil Wayne's voice. You know, I mean, I even did one. But man, his voice, I don't know. He just sounds like he's talking through a burp or something. Man.
I mean, he was navigating whatever they was doing. He had songs that he'd have hooks for and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Everybody wouldn't take to him, but I told you, me, being a little different about the women and the way I approach women. So let me hear that, that Lollipop one, I got something for that, and that's how I go.
Behind the scenes, though, Static was working on something more personal, his own solo project. He was finally stepping out from the background and putting his own story front and center. Static's solo album, Supper Time, was confirmed to be in development before his death in 2008. but it was never officially released. The project was reportedly close to completion, with some tracks recorded and ready to go. But after his sudden passing, the album was shelved indefinitely, and to this day, it remains unreleased. And it's unclear whether the full project still exists, where it is, or if it will ever see the light of day. But insiders who worked with Static on the project hinted that the lyrics weren't just about love or sexy time like the industry expected. Some of the unreleased material felt darker and more cryptic, and one track allegedly referenced Aaliyah's passing. On top of that, Static was also keeping notes and writing a journal, and people close to him said that he had plans to speak on what really happened, but was waiting for the right moment. But sadly, he never got the chance. On February 25th, 2008, Static walked into a hospital complaining of flu-like symptoms and shortness of breath, and just a few days later, he was dead. Just like that. No autopsy report was ever made public, and there was no follow-up or any type of investigation. Static was just 33 years old, and he is survived by his wife, Avanti Garrett, and 4 children. His family later filed a medical negligence lawsuit against Baptist Hospital East in Louisville, Kentucky. They eventually settled out of court, but the real cause of Static's death was never fully explained. And here's the thing, you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to start noticing the pattern. Static Major wasn't the first person in the industry to die young, and he definitely wasn't the last. The music business has a long history of people passing suddenly under strange or unresolved circumstances. And that brings us back to Aaliyah. The official story of her death wasn't just shocking, it was suspicious. It was rushed. It was full of contradictions. And more than 20 years later, there are still many unanswered questions. Why was she even on that plane in the first place? Who authorized it? Why was she given a sleeping pill and carried on that plane? So, according to one of the eyewitnesses, Kingsley Russell, Aaliyah refused to board the plane and went back to a taxi complaining of a headache. But then someone from her team gave her a pill, and moments later, they carried her unconscious on the plane. Kingsley's family ran a taxi business in the Bahamas where Aaliyah was filming her last music video, Rock the Boat, and he witnessed Aaliyah's last moments. And just hours later, Aaliyah and everyone who boarded the plane were dead. The plane crashed after takeoff about 200 feet from the end of the runway. And while the official story is that the plane was overloaded and that one of the engines failed, there have been a lot of conflicting reports on what exactly happened.
The plane, just after taking off for Florida in perfect weather, suddenly plummeted to the ground. Investigators now saying one of the engines apparently failed. Along with 8 passengers, Aaliyah, a young Brooklyn native and a talented singer and actress. Jeff Rosten is live in Times Square with more on her life. Jeff.
And Aaliyah had a huge following not only here in New York City, but nationwide. Only 22 years old, this pop sensation was a popular singer. She was an actress in some movies recently, even a Grammy nominee. Tonight, her family is in mourning. Fans asking, why her? Relatives in shock outside Aaliyah's home on the Upper West Side. The R&B star lived here at the Century, Central Park West and 63rd. She was on a small plane heading to Florida from the Bahamas, where she was shooting a music video.
And while Aaliyah's plane crash was ruled an accident, plenty of people in the industry hinted that it wasn't random. Remember when Mary J. Blige called it a spiritual murder?
Just know that was a murder. You know what I'm saying? That was a spiritual murder. Whether people know it or not, because God don't kill people. You know what I'm saying? Whether people know it or not. And I could go deep, but a lot of people I would have to really bring proof. You know what I'm saying? For what I learned. And she just was cut down in the prime of her life. And it's so unfair. And it wasn't time. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, I believe it wasn't her time to go, because from what I know, it ain't supposed to go down like that.
You have to ask yourself why anyone would refer to a plane accident as murder. Even if Mary didn't mean it literally, it's still bizarre she phrased it that way. Plus, you heard Mary say, from what I know, it wasn't supposed to go down like that. So what exactly did she know? And why does she still refuse to explain what she meant by that? So after that, people started connecting the dots. Names like R. Kelly, Jay-Z, and Diddy kept coming up, not just in gossip circles, but in serious conversations about who had access to Aaliyah, who was circling her, and who might have wanted her out of the picture. In R. Kelly's case, he didn't just date Aaliyah, he victimized her and illegally married her when she was 15, and he was 27. And that's not a rumor. That's documented, confirmed, and part of the evidence that eventually put him behind bars.
Prosecutors say she is one of the victims in a decades-long criminal enterprise led by R. Kelly, essentially for the purpose of underage girls. Now, during this trial, one of R. Kelly's former tour managers testified that he is the one who personally bribed a government official to get a fake ID for Aaliyah, saying that she was 18 years old when she was really 15. Why did he do that? Because R. Kelly reportedly wanted to marry her. That's what this man testified. And he said that R. Kelly wanted to marry her because he had gotten Aaliyah pregnant. And he wanted to be able to legally authorize an abortion for her as a minor at just 15 years old. And he also wanted to protect himself from prosecution.
It's reprehensible.
It's awful.
I understood the getting married part. I didn't realize there was a potential baby involved.
And he was seeking protection for himself, according to this testimony, that he didn't want to get in trouble for this pregnancy, and so he was trying to fix it.
And yet, even after that disturbing history with R. Kelly, other powerful men in the industry continued to prey on Aaliyah. According to Dame Dash, Jay-Z knew what R. Kelly did to Aaliyah, and he still continued to work with Kelly. Meanwhile, Jay himself became obsessed with Aaliyah, allegedly, and tried very hard to get her. But Aaliyah picked Dame over Jay-Z. And if you believe what Jaguar Wright has been saying for years, Jay didn't take that rejection lightly. According to Jaguar, Jay-Z's ego couldn't handle that Aaliyah was a threat to his plans. And the theory goes even darker, that he wanted her out of the way to punish Dame and make room for Beyonce.
Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling.
And then there's Diddy. Aaliyah attended his infamous all-white parties. And some people believe Jay used his connection to Diddy to try and get Aaliyah hooked on something. Substances, control dependency, anything to manipulate her. It's speculation, sure. But when you look at the power dynamics and the history of Jay and Diddy's friendship, it's not hard to believe that something sinister could have been going on. But one thing we know for sure is this. Aaliyah was surrounded by powerful, predatory men from the moment she entered the industry. And sadly, the people who were supposed to protect her didn't. And the few good men who tried to help her, like Static Major and DMX, all ended up dying under sketchy circumstances. Now, some insiders are saying that Static didn't know what was going on at first, but after Aaliyah died, his entire view of the music business changed. That's when he started keeping that diary. That's when his lyrics changed. And there are even some interviews that surfaced recently where he talked about how dark the industry really is and how people will smile in your face while planning your downfall.
I'm tell you, the first thing I tell motherfuckers is you don't even really want to get in this business for real. This is a fucked up business. It's like, you know what I'm saying, it's give or take. It's like a whole lot of times it don't even got nothing to do with your talent. A whole lot of times it got to do with the decisions you make and the motherfuckers around you and the doors you walk through.
So if Static was trying to protect Aaliyah, or at least expose the truth after the fact, it would make sense why he was silenced too. But let me hear your thoughts on all this. Was Aaliyah's death really just a tragic accident, or was something darker going on behind the scenes? Did Static Major know the truth, and was he silenced before he could speak out?
Y'all can believe what y'all want to believe. I ain't here to convince you. I'm here to inform myself. But a lot of times, like I said before, they put it right in your face, and the stuff be so crazy that people don't believe it. You had a lot of artists that speak out about how the industry is and they're not as famous as you would think they are. I told y'all, they get people like, there's so many people who come out of nowhere. And when I say come out of nowhere, it's like, you don't see the grind before. You just wake up one day and they're #1 on the charts out of nowhere. That's what they call them, industry plants. They may have a look. They may have a nice body, and they know that they can sell them to the youth, to the audience. And then you see those people like Justin Bieber, who making videos on YouTube, and you kind of see the grind, and then they get you because of your talent, and the first thing they want to do is change that, you know? They want to change the way you look, you know, the way you dress, the way you talk, all that stuff. And that's why they say a lot of these artists end up turning to things to make them feel better, if you know what I mean. But you always got to go back to the parents. The parents, man. I told y'all, they wave this money in their face. Parents see that money and they be like, I ain't got to work no more. Oh, take her. Take him. Do what y'all need to do to make them famous. So I can, get all this money in my pocket. Trying to tell y'all, man. But people gonna believe what they want to believe. I'm just saying, for the most part, people that have spoken out aren't here no more. Or they just labeled as crazy, or they just not famous. They just irrelevant to the industry. But definitely some shadiness happened with that. There's been so many artists, though, that have passed away in a plane crash. But that whole, like, her being unconscious, getting on the plane, like, damn. But hey, appreciate y'all coming over and watching, man. Please like, share, and comment below. Peace out.